All right, get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into reincarnation.
Reincarnation?
Reincarnation, but with a spiritist twist.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We're looking at the perspective of the Union Espírita Mineira.
The UEM.
Yeah, the UEM, a big spiritist federation down in Brazil.
Got it.
And they get their ideas from a couple of pretty interesting places.
Oh, like where?
Well, they look at the Bible,
Okay, that makes sense.
but they also draw a lot from the writings of Allan Kardec.
Ah, the founder of Spiritism. All right, so how do they see reincarnation?
That's the thing. They don't view it as just some random cosmic lottery or anything.
Right.
Nope. They think it's a carefully designed process
A process of what?
of spiritual evolution,
Yeah.
a path towards, like, getting rid of all the junk and eventually reaching enlightenment.
So basically, each lifetime is like a step on this big spiritual staircase leading us towards some final goal.
You got it. And they believe the Creator has a hand in all of this.
I see. So it's not about reaching perfection right away. It's more of a gradual process of refining ourselves through many lives.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. They believe that this whole system ensures a form of divine justice.
Divine justice. How so?
Because through reincarnation, we're given tons of opportunities to make up for past actions and make better choices.
Oh, I get it.
And eventually, they say, this leads to the end of suffering. It's not about punishment. It's about growing and learning from each experience.
Makes sense. But if they're pulling from the Bible, that's got to raise some questions, right? Reincarnation isn't a typical Christian belief.
True, but the UEM actually uses specific Bible passages to back up their view.
Really? Like which ones?
Well, there's Matthew 17.10:13. It talks about the return of Elijah before the Messiah, but Jesus says he's already come.
It's John the Baptist, right?
Yep. They see that as a clear hint towards reincarnation.
Interesting. Anything else?
There's also John 3.1:12, where Jesus talks about being born again.
Yeah, I know that one.
Well, while a lot of people interpret it metaphorically, the UEM sees it as a literal spiritual rebirth.
I see. So they're looking deeper than the surface level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But biblical references are only one part of the picture.
Yeah, you mentioned Allan Kardec before. How does his work fit in?
His book, The Spirit's Book, is like the foundation of Spiritist thought. And it's central to how they understand reincarnation.
What makes that book so special?
So Kardec claimed to have received the information in the book from spirits directly.
Wow, from spirits.
Yeah, they gave him all these details about how reincarnation works and why we do it, what happens between lives, how our past actions affect us now and in the future. The whole deal.
So it's like a transcript from the spirit world. It's wild. But if we're going deep into Spiritism, we got to talk about this Spirit thing.
Terror Spirit sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It kind of is. Think of it like a semi-material body.
Oh, what?
A semi-material body, a kind of energetic blueprint of our physical form, almost like an invisible twin.
Okay, you lost me. What does it actually do?
Well, the UEM says it's the link between our eternal spirit and our temporary physical body.
So when we die.
Right. Our physical body decomposes, but the perispirit, since it's semi-material, stays with our spirit.
So it's like the soul's ride in the spirit world.
Exactly. And with this perispirit, our spirit can interact with others in that realm, express themselves, and even show themselves in visible forms if needed.
Whoa, that's pretty mind-blowing. So if this perispirit is so important, what happens when we're born again? Is it, like, recycled or something?
That's where things get even more interesting. We'll pick this up in part 2 and explore what the UEM says about the mechanics of the spirit world and how our actions in the past can influence our lives now and in the future.
Sounds like a plan. See you then.
See part 2? Welcome back to the deep dive.
Back for more Spiritist wisdom.
That's right. Last time we were talking about the perispirit, that semi-material twin that acts as our soul's ride in the spirit world.
Pretty wild stuff.
It is a pretty wild concept, isn't it?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole invisible twin thing.
It takes some getting used to.
It does. So what happens next? We die, our perispirit-clad soul takes off for the spirit world. Then what? Do we get there right away?
Well, the UEM describes it more as a gradual awakening. Not like flipping a switch or anything.
Not an instant arrival, then.
No, not instant. They say the spirit kind of detaches from the physical body little by little.
And slowly becomes more aware of their spiritual surroundings.
Exactly. Think of it like waking up from a deep sleep.
A little groggy, maybe a little confused.
Right, especially if the death was sudden or unexpected. It could take a while for the spirit to fully understand they're not in the physical realm anymore.
That makes sense. Sounds like a pretty surreal experience.
It does. But the good news is, The UEM says that this period of adjustment doesn't last forever. As the spirit gets used to its new state, it starts to see the spirit world more clearly, and often they're greeted by loved ones who have passed on before.
So they're not alone in this strange new world.
No, not at all. But if the spirit world works on that, like, attracts-like idea,
Yeah.
what happens to those who weren't exactly saints in their earthly lives?
Huh.
Are we talking fire and brimstone here?
That's a good question.
The UEM's take on the afterlife is a bit more complex than that.
Oh.
They believe that spirits who were at a lower frequency during their physical life, maybe because of bad actions or negative attachments, they naturally go towards lower spheres within the spirit world.
So not so much about divine punishment, but about ending up in a place that matches their inner state.
Right. And these lower spheres, they can be pretty tough. They mirror all the inner turmoil of the spirits there.
Makes you think.
It does. But the important thing to remember is that these states aren't permanent. Even spirits in those lower spheres can still learn and grow and move up to higher realms as they evolve spiritually.
That's a bit more hopeful.
Yeah.
But if it's not eternal damnation, what do these spirits actually do in this spirit world? Just hang out waiting for their next life?
Definitely not. The UEM says the spirit world is full of activity, tons of purple. It's like a massive opportunity for learning and self-improvement.
The spirit school.
Not exactly traditional schools, no. But there are mentors, guides, even groups dedicated to specific areas of knowledge.
So spirits can keep learning and pursuing their passions even after death.
Exactly. They might join groups focused on art, music, philosophy, science, anything really. But there's also a big focus on reflecting on their past actions.
Well, right. Gotta face the music eventually.
It's all tied to that concept of karma.
Makes sense. Can't just ignore the consequences of our actions forever.
Nope. But here's the thing. If we don't see the consequences of our choices right away in the same lifetime,
Yeah.
how does that really affect our spiritual growth?
Good point.
This is where the UEM's understanding of divine justice comes in.
I'm listening.
They believe that even if we don't always see immediate consequences, the effects of our choices, they ripple out
Ripple out, Hal.
through time and space,
Whoa.
affecting not just ourselves, but others as well.
So like a web of cause and effect, stretching beyond just our physical lives?
Exactly. When we die, we get to review our past actions, but this time from a wider spiritual perspective.
And who's guiding this review?
Compassionate mentors, they help us understand the impact of our choices and learn from our mistakes.
So it's not about judgment, it's about learning.
Right. But what about those times when we really messed up? Hurt someone?
Yeah, what then?
The UEM talks about the importance of atonement.
Making amends for the harm we've caused.
Exactly. Spirits who realize they've hurt someone can do things that help heal and restore balance.
So more than just saying sorry.
It's about taking responsibility, showing a real desire to fix things.
I get it. This is all starting to make sense, but it makes me wonder if we're constantly learning and getting better. How do we decide to reincarnate again? Is it our choice or is it already decided for us?
The big question of free will versus destiny.
Right.
The UEM says it's complex, but they believe the ultimate choice to come back rests with the individual spirit.
So we're not just puppets being controlled.
No, we're active participants in choosing our next life.
But how does that work, practically speaking?
They believe that before each reincarnation, our spirit gets together with its guides, reviews its progress, figures out what it still needs to work on,
And
and then they pick a life path that aligns with those goals.
So it's like a team effort to map out the next stage of the soul's journey.
Exactly. But if we're picking our next life, why don't we remember our past lives? Doesn't that seem counterproductive if we're supposed to be learning and growing?
That's what I've always wondered.
The UEM says that forgetting serves a few purposes. For one, it lets us fully experience being human.
With all the good and the bad?
Exactly. Without being weighed down by past mistakes or even past successes.
So it's like a clean slate.
It is. It also keeps us from being controlled by our past fears or regrets.
So we can make genuine choices in the present moment.
Exactly. Imagine trying to go through life carrying all that baggage.
Yeah, no thanks.
It would be overwhelming. A clean slate lets us really focus on the lessons of our current life.
Makes sense. But what about karma? If we don't remember what we did, how can we learn from it and deal with consequences?
The UEM explains that even though we don't have specific memories of past lives, the effects of our actions, good and bad, stay with us. Kind of like karmic imprints on our soul.
And those imprints affect our lives.
They do. They subtly shape the circumstances of our current life, creating opportunities for growth and, when needed, atonement.
It's like we're being guided, even if we don't know the specifics.
Exactly. Which leads us to another fascinating part of Spiritism,
Which,
their ideas about heaven and hell. In Part 3, we'll explore how the UEM reimagines these concepts, and we'll also dive into the connection between Spiritism and other world religions.
welcome back to the deep dive.
Ready to explore some more?
Definitely. All this talk about the spirit world and karma, it really makes me wonder how this whole spiritist view fits in with other religions.
It's a question a lot of people have.
It seems like there could be some clashes,
Yeah, I can see that.
but the UEM actually addresses this head on.
Ooh, what do they say?
It's interesting, they don't present Spiritism as a replacement for other religions.
No.
Nope. They see it more as something that can go alongside other beliefs.
Like a companion.
Exactly. A way to deepen our understanding of spiritual truths, no matter what our background is.
So it's about enriching existing beliefs rather than trying to convert people.
That's right. The UEM emphasizes that all religions, at their heart, have a common goal.
And what's that?
Connecting us with something bigger than ourselves, guiding us towards spiritual enlightenment.
I like that.
They see Spiritism as a new lens to view these shared truths.
A fresh perspective.
Exactly. But let's get down to brass tacks. How does this work with a religion like Christianity?
Christianity's pretty big in Brazil, right?
Huge. But the UEM points out the similarities between Spiritist teachings and the core principles of Christianity.
Like what?
Like Jesus' teachings on love, compassion, forgiveness. Those align really well with Spiritist values.
And they probably see reincarnation as supporting those values.
Absolutely. They believe that it shows God's infinite love and mercy, offering us endless chances to grow.
To learn, make amends, reach spiritual perfection.
You got it. So instead of contradicting Christian beliefs, they present reincarnation as a way to enhance them.
I see. To better understand God's grace.
Exactly. And they remind us that rebirth isn't totally absent from the Bible either.
Right. Those passages we discussed earlier.
Elijah, John the Baptist, Jesus being born again.
Yeah, they take on a whole new meaning when viewed through the lens of reincarnation.
For sure. But even if there are shared values, there are still differences between religions, right? How does the UEM explain that?
They say those differences come from different interpretations of spiritual truths
Okay.
and the cultural context in which those truths are expressed.
That makes sense.
They see these differences as natural, even necessary, for the evolution of human consciousness.
So it's not about finding the one true religion, it's about finding your own path.
Exactly. They encourage respecting all religions, focusing on what we share rather than what divides us.
It's about recognizing that deep down, we're all connected.
We are. It's a powerful message, especially these days.
It really is. But one thing that struck me is that the UEM doesn't just focus on religious texts.
No.
They seem to encourage exploring all sorts of different areas of knowledge.
Like what?
Science, philosophy, art. They think true understanding comes from a well-rounded approach to learning.
So it's about putting together the pieces from different sources to get a clearer picture of reality.
Exactly. They see Spiritism as a bridge between science and religion.
Bridging the gap.
Yeah, a framework that embraces both the material world and the spiritual.
Well, that's a pretty unique approach.
It is. And they're not afraid to tackle those big, complicated issues either.
What do you mean?
Things like inequality, suffering, all the challenges humanity is facing.
Yeah, those are tough topics.
They are. But that's where reincarnation and karma really come into play.
How so?
The UEM believes those things aren't random. They're the consequences of past actions, opportunities to learn and grow.
Not just as individuals, but collectively.
Exactly. They see challenges as catalysts for evolution.
Pushing us to become better.
Right. And that means addressing the root causes of suffering, like greed, selfishness, lack of compassion.
Sounds like a call to action.
It is. They believe that taking action to help others is an essential part of our spiritual growth.
So, working towards a more just and equitable world.
That's it. By helping others, we help ourselves evolve spiritually.
It's a beautiful cycle.
It really is. It highlights how connected we all are.
And how our actions affect the world around us.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Spiritist view of reincarnation, I think it's clear that it's so much more than just a belief in rebirth.
It's a whole way of looking at life.
A profound and comprehensive philosophy that touches on everything.
Our purpose, our actions, our relationships.
It challenges us to look beyond our physical limitations.
To see life and death and the evolution of the soul in a new light.
It encourages us to see every experience as a chance to learn and grow.
To be more compassionate, more understanding.
and to actively work towards building a better world.
A more just and compassionate world.
That's a powerful message to carry with us. So as we conclude this exploration, I want to leave you with one final thought.
What's that?
If reincarnation and spiritual evolution are real, how would that change the way you live your life?
How would it affect your relationships, your contributions to the world?
It's something to really think about. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Until next time, keep those minds open and keep exploring the amazing world of the human spirit.